Hey guys, to help run the forums, host the website, and travel, we've introduced a universal service fee for in-depth coverage, including this video. My goal is to be unbiased and transparent. It's a privilege to serve you. This is not an endorsement. Let's get into it. Hey guys, we are in beautiful Long Beach, California. I'm hanging out with Chris Nolte of Propel Bikes, opening up a shop in this city.
Sure am, yeah.
It's been really cool hanging out with you, getting to check out some of the new 2019 Riese Müller electric bikes. We reviewed the Load, I think in Brooklyn, and we took it to the skate park.
We did.
We went down steps. We had a blast. And now they have, this is the Load 75 Touring HS. So the HS is like high speed. This has the Bosch Performance Line speed motor. They also sell this with Performance Line CX if you want high torque, 20 mile per hour limit. These are some of the only, cargo bikes I've ridden that actually offer, class 3 performance. And they do it well, man. They feel stable. These tires, they're 2.15 inches diameter, a little bit fatter. They've got suspension front and in the middle of the frame here. So it's comfortable for the rider as well as the passenger. And you can see we're losing a little bit of daylight here. We've been out riding around all day and having fun at the dog beach. We've got some really special ride shots for you later in the video, and I always link to the timestamps to help you guys out if you already feel like you understand the bike or you just want to have fun kind of hanging out with us and seeing a little ride. This is a really special bike. It comes at a very special price, $8,329, right?
That's right, yeah.
It's expensive. I just got to say that right off the bat. People have been kind of chiming in man, that's really expensive. You could buy a car, but it's these things are efficient, they're reliable, you can enjoy the day, spend time with your family, and this is premium. And they really do a great job with their stuff. They have an excellent warranty. This is German engineered. I want to come back to the frame and everything here for a second. So this is aluminum alloy. It comes in this matte black or white. The Load 75 is a little bit longer, so I think we were saying 6 or 7 inches longer.
Yep. About 6 inches, yeah.
Just a ton of options in terms of this front cargo bay. So we've got these plastic sort of retaining walls here. If you've got kids or something, it's set up for 3 kids right now, and it's got this nice foam comfort seat pads and backrests and stuff. I really like this high rise in the front, a little bit taller. This is actually where I've been riding. And then they got this drop box area in the middle, so you've got somewhere to put your feet and maybe stow a little bit of luggage. If we come over here to the Packster, this is the Packster 40, so it's a little bit smaller, compact. This is where the dog's been riding on the way to the beach. Really fun bike. Still got front suspension, but you don't have the rear, maybe a little bit higher on the ground clearance on this one. You can see the box actually lowers the ground clearance a little bit, and the wheels are a little bit further apart, so the center is just potentially lower. You get a little bit high centered. Just something to kind of think about. We haven't had a problem with that at all on the way here. And I mentioned the higher volume tires. These are Schwalbe Big Blend Plus. They've got green guard, so puncture protection. They've got reflective sidewall stripes for safety, integrated lights, Bush & Muller IQX, designed to aim down a little bit, and it has these slits in the side so you can be visible, not just from the front, but from the side. And as it gets darker, we'll turn those on and we'll show you that. I love that in addition to the headlight, you got this rear light here, Supernova 5 LED, metal enclosure, just a little bit tougher, and it's built onto that suspended rack. So let's say you got a child seat back here. I mean, you could be carrying 4 kids on this thing depending on their ages.
In theory, yeah, for sure.
Right, just totally cool. And then this child would also have some support, or maybe your cargo here. We got these nice pannier blockers. They're not going to be banging into the wheel quite as easily. They're not going to be jumbled around as much if you have a laptop or something. We got the battery pack and the motor low and center on the frame, and it allows for that mid-step frame, which is really nice. So if you're stepping over it like this, and maybe you have to hop off and kind of stabilize the bike, you could be dealing with a lot of weight here. The bike itself is 85 pounds as is, which actually kind of surprised me because I've seen other just bikes that are 70, 80,
Yeah, they did a pretty good job at keeping it fairly lightweight, all things considered,
and balancing it,
stuff like that.
I mean,
yeah, the balance is a really big thing. I think that's really the more important factor when you're talking about weight. It's how does the bike actually handle?
Yeah.
It could be a heavy bike and just ride like a dog, or it could be, a bike that's a little heavier, but it sticks to the ground really well. It rides a line well, those sort of things. And that's kind of been my experience with this. And as you know, the Load 60 was really one of my favorite bikes.
Yeah,
I mean,
you rode that everywhere,
yeah.
man. That was like your bike.
Right, and you know, I don't have kids. I don't really have extreme cargo needs, but I just like the versatility of having a cargo bike, you know, to throw whatever I need in there.
Yeah.
I put everything from air conditioners to cases of beer to whatever. And, you know, my wife, whatever I need to do, this definitely will, you know, accommodate those needs a little bit better, specifically putting an adult in there.
And that's the thing. Look at this, you guys. We made it here with 2 bikes, okay? And there are 3 people. Marissa's at the beach playing with Max, okay? So you'll get to meet them later. But these are very comfortable, and I have a sensitive back and neck, so having the full suspension is really, really nice. And there's a little bit of adjustability right here, rebound. And then up front, this is just a spring fork, but it's got 70 millimeters of travel, and it's got a through axle, so it's a little bit stiffer, a little bit sturdier, and it's going to be able to handle the additional weight. Definitely appreciate that. And we also have preload clickers on that, so you want to adjust those in tandem, like the little dials. Not quite as adjustable as like an air suspension, but you know, we are dealing with 2 different wheel sizes here, so it's 20 inches up front, and they've done that because it can kind of lower the frame and kind of bring that box down a little bit closer to the ground. And that's really nice for loading. And then back here we've got 26 by 2.15, so 26 inches. They didn't go with 28 or 27.5. They stuck with something that's pretty standard, kind of universal, and a smaller diameter. It tends to be a little stronger. It can handle a bit more weight because it's shorter spokes. Love that the spokes are black, the rims are black, they match the rack, everything really nice. A lot of excellent cable routing. If you look at the cockpit up here, we've got the Bosch Intuvia, we've got the GP1 ergonomic grips from Ergon, got a little horn button, which is kind of neat. Before they had a flick bell, 4-finger hydraulic disc brake levers. These are Tektro Riga E-Comp, so they do activate the rear light, and that's for the high-speed version. Earlier I was talking about how they have like a 20 mile per hour Bosch CX motor or the 28 mile per hour speed motor, and you can get that with the Shimano Dior XT drivetrain. This is 11 speeds, 11 to 42. Before, when we looked at the Load, it was like 11 to 36. So this is actually a wider spread. You have an even lower gear, that large one, the extra large one right here, which is really nice. It does have the Shadow Plus, which means it's kind of tucked back, and it's got this one-way clutch, so you can click that into the up position. It sort of tightens the derailleur spring, so if you're riding at high speed, the chain won't bounce around quite as much. They also upgraded this little slap guard here. It's this vinyl kind of black sticker thing, so your frame's not going to get nicked up over time. Being black, you can touch it up with markers and stuff, which is kind of nice. So there's the motor here. We got a little tiny sprocket here. This is proprietary, Bosch designed. It spins at 2.5 revolutions for each crank arm revolution, and they do have little alloy chain guard on it, so that can help your pants slough over, but also keep the chain from bouncing off if you're on rough terrain. So mid-drives are very efficient. They empower you to leverage those gears, you and the motor. So the motor benefits as you shift gears. Really nice to see that here. Good system for a cargo bike, I think. You know, compared to a hub motor, you don't have a throttle or anything on these bikes, but it's so responsive. It measures the rear wheel speed, pedal cadence, and pedal torque over 1,000 times per second. Bosch is a leader. This motor weighs about 8.8 pounds, so it's a little bit heavier than some of the other mid-drives, but they're known for high quality, they're known for their sensors, and it even has shift detection, so when you're changing gears on the fly, it's not going to mash quite as much and kind of wear out these teeth or stress the chain as much. So this is all pretty standard bike equipment. Quick release 9mm axle on the rear. Yeah, and you might be wondering, like, what's this thing here? There's a little lever. This is a cafe lock, so you can kind of secure the rear wheel. Even if you aren't locking the bike to a pole or anything, no one can ride off with this, but with that cafe lock engaged. And it is key to match the battery pack. You can see the key port for that right over here. And then they have an optional like cable, kind of a chain that can connect right here, or an additional battery pack. There's all kinds of options on this, you guys. So the chain plugs into the other side of the Abus Shield Plus lock, and that allows you to kind of secure the wheel and then loop the chain around like a pole or something. So that's another level of security. So you've got the Bibia integrated rubber kind of adjustable strap here. It's nice for quickly securing items. 65mm plastic SKS fenders front and rear. They're going to keep you kind of clean, and also your cargo will stay a little bit cleaner. I don't think these are the stock pedals. The stock ones have like an aluminum alloy core and a plastic with like a rubber tread around the edge. They work okay. I like these bigger ones. I think these just got swapped out at the trade show, so that's kind of interesting. And then just coming back to like the battery concept, I talked about the drivetrain a little bit. This is a 36 volt, 13.4 amp hour, roughly 500 watt hour battery pack. So you've got one here, but if you get an additional one, it's like another $1,000 to do that, which is kind of a lot. But then you've got a kilowatt hour of capacity, so you can go further, especially if you've got extra cargo. Chris, is that something you can upgrade later? Is that an at time of purchase type of thing?
It's technically at time of purchase for these bikes. There is some additional hardware that's required, and yeah, so it would be recommended to get it at time of purchase.
Good to know. Do a lot of people do that, like in your experience?
Yeah, it's definitely common. You know, because with the cargo bike, with some additional weight, you're going to use the battery a little bit more. Maybe you're riding turbo more than you might otherwise. And sometimes we've even had scenarios where maybe we'll wire the bike for dual battery and maybe just charge the extra for that hardware as opposed to the battery. Like maybe somebody already has an additional bike.
I want to show what it kind of looks like. It's a very similar implementation. So you can see the Packster, it's got the power pack right here. Again, pretty well protected with that top tube from if you were stepping over the bike, keeps the weight low. And then you've got that optional secondary mount on the back of the box. And then there's a lock mount too, and a bottle adapter. So this is what I was talking about. There's a lot that you can do with this platform.
Without a doubt, yeah.
This is a pretty rigid frame here. You can see the design of the swing arm, so it just pivots right there. It's not like it has multiple pivots, and I think that keeps the frame stiffer, especially using a mid-drive, potentially a high torque. So this one offers 63 newton meters of torque at peak, whereas the CX 20 mile per hour motor offers up to 75. Okay, so there's slight differences. This is 55% all the way up to 275% assist. Bosch has a really good motor diagram that talks about all the specs and stuff back at their website. But the other option here is if you don't go with the traditional cassette derailleur, you can get the NVOLO, which is like a continuously variable transmission, much like an internally geared hub, but it's more of like these pivot ball system that allows you to just seamlessly change your pedal cadence on the fly, even if you aren't moving. You can shift that thing.
That's right, yeah. Similar to most internal hubs, you can shift when you're not moving. But the nice thing about the New Vinci, or now NVOLO, this one might be labeled the New Vinci, it can handle quite a bit of torque.
Oh, you said it's like the SE or something?
Right, so there's a new SE version, which is specifically made to handle more torque. And that's what we'll start to see on the newer bikes.
Does it have the same little twist thing?
This is actually the older version, the New Vinci C8, but the newer versions will have the NVOLO, and it's slightly different design, and I think people really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's neat that, I've always appreciated this little infographic, so you're like, look, the little dude's climbing a hill, like if you're climbing a hill or flat. Again, we're kind of mixing model years here and stuff, and as they change over, you see new hardware. And one of the things that you see with this product is display options. So we've got the Intuvi here, which is one of my favorites. It's really large. You can kind of adjust the angle if you're experiencing glare. It's got a little micro USB port here, 5 volt, 500 milliamp, so you could charge your phone if maybe you're using that for GPS, or have some speakers on this. We've seen a few people at the beach with speakers today, and maybe that's keeping the kids entertained. You've got like a little iPad up front or something. There's all kinds of possibilities. It's nice to be able to tap into those batteries. Riese Müller, they have a system where it draws from the batteries sort of simultaneously in balance, because they're working with Bosch, and that's one of the Bosch controller features. So it's not just draining battery A and then battery B never gets touched. It's like it drains them both, and that helps to extend the lifespan of both of those batteries.
That's right, yeah, because if you had just one battery, you're using it continuously, then the other battery is just sitting, then then really that one battery is practically brand new. The other one's getting wear down a lot, so it's not really so ideal.
So it's really nice. And again, in this configuration, we've only got one battery, but just coming back to being able to tap into that, some of the higher end systems don't always have a USB port like this one does. So I really appreciate that. They also offer the Kiox, which is a little bit smaller display, but it's color, and it has a couple nice features like battery percentage and Bluetooth, so you could do like a heart rate monitor and stuff. I've done other little blog entries on the forum about that, and you can see what it looks like if you're thinking about upgrading to that. I really like the Kiox, but the Intuvi is pretty great, and it's still removable. You can slide it off, so if you have to leave this parked outside a cafe and you don't want people to mess with it, you can. And then we'll just click it back on like that. I'm going to power this up, press the power button. The batteries are already charged on this bike. maybe not completely charged, but Bosch gives you a 4-amp charger, which is really nice. A lot of other electric bikes only have a 2-amp charger. And now that it's becoming dark, you can kind of see there is this like faint white glow. It's really, really nice to see. This one does not have battery percentage. It has 5 ticks, so each tick is roughly 20% increment. We've got a little assist level readout on the right here. So if I click the plus or minus, we're going from no assist, which you might be like, why even have that? Well, this bike, you totally can pedal it, especially with that, 42 tooth larger sprocket in the rear. And then you might want to just turn the lights on. So do you see that? Look at that. The light points where you're steering. It's like way out there. There's this nice linkage system. It works pretty well. And I can imagine just riding along with the lights and taking it easy and being casual. But as soon as we press plus, we go to Eco. That's the lowest level of assist. It's 55%. Tour, Sport, and Turbo. Now, if you weren't on the speed motor like we are now, Sport would be EMTB mode, which is pretty cool because it gives you like a dynamic range of power output. But I personally like the speed sometimes. I mean, it's weird to think like, do I really want to be going fast with my kids? But 23, 24 miles per hour could be kind of nice if you're going longer distances. And this is one of the few bikes, like I said, that's stiff enough, that feels reliable enough that it's comfortable to go a little faster. So, for what it's worth, maybe you're like a delivery person and you don't get all the kids' seats. By the way, they have like a tarpaulin cover and all these different options, but you could just use this for cargo and air conditioner delivery, Chris.
Yeah,
you've got a second calling.
with the Load 60, I mean, we've seen all sorts of applications. We have one of our close friends and customers. He delivers wine. I think he was on one of the videos.
Yeah, he's great.
And so I mean, he carries, I think about 200 pounds of wine in the front carrier, and then he carries a trailer on the back with the additional 300 pounds. So it's pretty amazing.
Very capable bikes.
What he's able to do with that.
Hey guys, a bit of serendipity. I ran into my other friend Chris. How's it going, man?
Hey man, how are you?
I'm great. And you're riding one of the Riese Müller bikes. This is the full suspension Load. And what's in the cargo bin?
Vino.
Nice, some wine. Beautiful, man. Yeah, this guy, do you want to do a shout out, like what your business is or something, or is it?
Yeah, it's an import company that sells wine to small wine stores and restaurants.
That's fantastic, man. I've seen you around town a couple times lately because you're here working out of the Navy Yard. And today it's raining, and so can you tell me about your getup? Like you're wearing a rainproof coat with high visibility.
Yeah, it's a Showers Pass. I love the name alone. They were just reasonably priced, and they work great. I've had them for about a year, and keep me dry.
You got your helmet, you got your waterproof pants, and then Helly Hansen rain boots.
I haven't found the right shoe yet. They're all like super expensive. They just like I've tried covers for shoes and things like that, but that's just a cover. It's more like a wetsuit. So this is the only kind of impermeable solution that doesn't kind of drive me nuts.
Can I see your pedal? You take your foot off? Those are the stock pedals. Do you find that you slip off of them sometimes? Have you thought about changing to like metal or?
Haven't yet. I have some metal on another bike I use for deliveries, and that one stabs me a lot in the
shin.
All kinds of on the exactly, just like above the shoe, kind of where the first part of the sock would be.
Yeah.
I got a lot of like scars all over my ankles and shins, and this is nice because it doesn't stab me.
Okay, well yeah, that's good to know. Like I call that out sometimes, and it's a trade-off. Like you're gonna grip, but you're gonna get scraped up a little bit that way. And again, just a sweet setup. How long have you had your Riese Müller?
We're now, so it's about 3 months.
Wow.
Yeah, this is my first Riese Müller, and it's not my last.
Okay, do you have any other call-outs? It doesn't have to be positive. Is there anything you change, or what's your experience been?
I've really enjoyed having the twin batteries. That's made taking the whole battery aspect.
I wanted to show. Look at this. He's got the bottle cage. He's got the folding lock on the right, and then over here on the left, you've got the additional battery. Yeah. So it's worth the money, yeah?
Yeah, especially because of extra load I'm taking, and having extra load means you're going to drain more battery, and so it just takes the whole thought out of it. It's like when we used to have really crappy phones, and then we got the new phones, and now they last forever.
Yeah. Okay, this is fantastic. Well, I didn't mean to rush you. I know you're on your way to do a delivery, but great to see you.
See you, Court. See you soon.
Ride safe. How cool is that?
So, I think that's definitely pushing it towards its limits, but it's good to know what's possible.
That's nice. Thank you for that feedback. Right next to the assist levels, there's a little power chart that surges depending on how much power the motor is using. And then we've got the light icon down there. So we can't really turn the lights off because this is the speed pedelec version. You'd have to work with your shop to manually disable those.
Right.
But, you know, it's not necessarily a bad thing. The lights don't draw that much power. And I did promise you I would show you those little slits. Look at that. So you can see it from the front as well as from the side. Very nice. And then that backlight, maybe, yeah, can you pull the, oh yeah, that's what we're talking about. So anytime you pull the brake levers, you get that nice like warning, you know, which is great for safety.
Absolutely.
Really
We got
important.
another little warning. This is a new one for 2019.
There we go. That's what he's doing. There's the little horn beeping up front. It's pretty loud. It's actually pretty loud.
It works, and it's not too obnoxious, you know. Most horns, they can be a little bit obnoxious, but
It's kind of cute. It's the
yeah.
buggy like beep beep, you know. So there's the horn like Chris was talking about. And then down here in the lower portion of the display, we've got a bunch of readouts. Right now it's odometer, but you cycle through with these I buttons. So I'm just going to click this. Very reachable. You don't have to take your hands off the grip, especially if you've got a heavier load, precious cargo. It's nice to be able to operate this thing almost by feel. You don't necessarily even have to look down. It's nice that it's big and very readable, or with the kiosks that it's color, so you don't have to read it. You can just be like green, blue, and that. But again, I really like the Intuvia. It's a great option. And this button right here, this I is rubberized, where the plus and minus, they kind of click. So you're like, if I need more power, just keep clicking up. And then if you want to change the readout, you just cycle through. So we got trip distance, we got clock, we got max speed, average speed, trip time, range, which is really cool. Dynamically calculates based on the level of assist in your last mile of riding. So in turbo, it says you got 11 miles, and we aren't even half full in the battery here. All the way down to eco, you know, it bumps up to 23 miles. So,
And keep in mind, we are riding with a pretty good load.
I was gonna
there.
say, hey man, I don't know how to take this.
Well, I don't think you ate lunch, but you know.
I know, right? We worked kind of through the day here, so it's a really great display panel. And there is walk mode up here too. So if you press the walk mode button on the top edge and then plus, the bike will slowly move itself forward. Maybe you're in a place where it's inappropriate to ride the bike, but you want help pushing this 85 pounds plus cargo. Okay, like it's nice that they left that enabled. Not all e-bike manufacturers have, right? So this is props to Riese Müller. And then we're back to odometer. If you want to change the speed readout from miles per hour, you can hold reset and I and get into a bunch of other menus. It's a pretty intuitive display. And yeah, other call outs here. I think this is what, 34.9? Right. Yeah, that's nice. So it's a little bit thicker seat post too that they use.
Yeah, everything is pretty beefed up on here, I would say.
Stiffness.
Yeah, without a doubt. That's a big consideration.
And it's longer. So this was like 340 millimeters or something. So as the seat goes up, you can see that the handlebar is more vertical right now, and that the seat post angles, so your reach extends as well as your legs. And then Chris is reaching down because this is actually adjustable too. You can angle that stem. Right, so you
can angle it forward if you want a super sporty position.
Right, or you're taller and you like that reach.
Or this is kind of the natural position.
Yeah.
Or then you can also go a little further back.
And then it telescopes up too. So, and what about fold it all the way down, Chris? Because this is, let's say that you have, by the way, guys, I measured like everything on this except for weight. We tried to lift it. It was just kind of heavy and we were running out of daylight. So we were like, we'll trust Riese Müller. All the other measurements I've done have been very similar to theirs. So I want to be transparent with you. That's the situation. But like, you know, I've done length and width and everything. Some people might not have height. You got to put that into your garage under some cabinets or something. You could fold that handlebar down, and now this thing's a lot more compact, and that seat can drop down. I've also done minimum saddle or standover. Yeah, so people know like what if you're gonna have to be on your tippy toes when you're balancing that load. It's just pretty cool. I've tried to be objective about this and talked about how it's expensive and it's heavy, but we're really looking at one of the more premium offerings here. There's not a whole lot to really complain about. Chris, are there any compromises you see or things you want to call out as a review?
Yeah, I mean, I think that some of the challenges, like people might consider like, oh yeah, it's, you know, it's a big bike. I mean, it's long.
Where do you put it?
I mean, it is 6 inches longer than the previous load. But the nice thing is that they are able to give like 50% more capacity.
Yeah.
So
that's significant, 50%. And you know, I was mentioning like, where do you put it? Maybe you have to leave the bike outside a little bit. You could put a tarp over it, but those batteries come off very easily, and they have integrated handle loop at the top, so you're not going to drop them.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, the other thing you brought about, you know, the price, it is kind of a higher price.
It is.
And one thing we were talking about before, because somebody had made a comment previously about like, oh, I wonder if there's financing. And actually a lot of shops do offer financing. It's becoming a more common thing.
Do you offer? Have you ever done that?
Yeah, so we do 12 months financing. We'll also do longer term sometimes, depending on the different bike or the price point. We have different
kids
services
cost
available.
a lot of money. Like you might need some help with but here, let's look at the costs of operation.
Right.
This has a 2-year comprehensive warranty. Riese Müller do a great job. We already talked about quality. Charging it's like 10 cents for and we estimate in like 25 to 100 miles depending on if you have the dual battery pack and how you ride.
Sure.
Which is pretty cool. Another con that we haven't talked about, going on the evening tour. It's just it's a cool place to be, guys, here. One of the other trade-offs with Riese Müller is that they design to order. So they kind of spec this thing with the motor that you choose, with the drivetrain, and it can take up to several months depending on where you buy and how they do it to ship from Germany, because a lot of this is kind of assembled there. Is that my understanding?
That's right. Yep. Yeah, the bikes are built in Germany. And depending, some shops sometimes they'll have bikes in stock. For the most part, a lot of them are ordered. We try to stock some of the more popular ones.
Oh, we got some. They're like, give me a ride.
I know. Do you guys get in there or what?
giving it the look around.
It's like kid seats.
It is. Yeah, this is designed to carry few kids, or maybe some. We're actually here with our friend. There she is, and she's putting Max in the
how cool.
the cargo bin.
Hey, Max.
I'm gonna maybe hop on this thing and just do my little ride test for a minute, just to point out the drive system before we lose all the light. But yeah, there is a little bit of wait time in some situations. So I think you just kind of push it forward. Will you help me with that, Chris? I want to show. Right. So it's actually pretty. Yeah, it's not too bad to do this. With one hand, there's a little bit of a learning curve, but I'm gonna do my best here for you guys. I'm in eco mode. I'm gonna take it up to sport. There goes that Max. Whoa. It's crazy out here. The Bosch motor is super, super responsive. Like I was saying, it stops right when you stop. It helps you get going instantly, almost instantly, so it doesn't feel like you need a throttle. It just, if you apply some pressure, the motor kicks in. It's a good idea to downshift though before you stop, so that you aren't really overworking the motor. And there is this like shift recommendation, like these arrows that sort of appear depending on what gear you've chosen. There's also a little bit of noise that's produced by this motor because it does spin faster. The 2.5 revolutions per crank revolution is sort of unique in the space. A lot of other drive systems just use a traditional size sprocket. Even some of the new Bosch Active Line motors use a traditional size sprocket. I realize I'm getting technical here. I want to kind of call out that there is a bit of a trade-off. And if you're riding this thing, maybe you're in a situation where you're not using the motor, you're just pedaling. There's going to be a little bit of drag. There's just because of that reduction gearing system. And you saw the turning radius on this is pretty good. And another kind of question mark, you can't really see the front wheel very, very well. It's sort of blocked by the box. So there's a bit of a learning curve there. But, I mean, it's pretty stable. I almost feel like I could do the no hands thing here. Whoa. It's a little bit longer, so there's a little bit of tippiness and that smaller front wheel. So it's not quite as stable as some of the other bikes for no hands, but when you've got your hands on the grips, it feels really good. Beautiful. Let's do the group ride. I've got this is the fun footage I was talking about. Okay guys, what kind of a review would this be if I didn't spend some time in the box? What do you call that thing? What is that? It's like a cargo bin, child transporter? Maybe?
Yeah, I would say a box. I mean, it's often referred to as a box bite or box bite.
I remember a time when, were you in it? Was I in this one?
I think I was in that, yeah. Maybe, I don't know if you went in
I feel like
also,
this is an upgrade right here.
Yeah,
we got a big...
this is like kind of the Maybach seating arrangement here.
Look who wants in too. Oh, he's got his own little special thing. This is Marissa. Thank you so much for coming with us.
Yeah.
The plan is to just ride to the dog beach, and then this review is going to be kind of backwards, different order, but I wanted to get footage just from the whole adventure. I'm just going to hop in this thing here. Make like Max. There we go. You doing okay, buddy?
Doing good.
There we go. I got all my feet in. It's it might be. Oh, they're all in, all 2 of them. There's this little drop box. So this is a little compact if you're an adult, but it's exciting to think that you could have like 3 kids in this thing, right? I mean, that's...
Yeah, smaller kids, but yeah, definitely 3 kids.
Sweet.
All
It's a
right.
good thing we got the motor. Let's do it. Come on,
it.
Max. Let's go.
All right.
Nice. Beautiful sunset tonight, too.
Take the little alleyway.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is where the suspension... Oh, yeah. I gotta
How
love
is it?
that.
It's comfortable?
It's really comfortable. I'm really not feeling... I'm not feeling the bumps. It's kind of fun riding backwards, too. Oh, he looks so happy.
He's so happy. He loves it.
Oh, Max. Dun, dun, dun. I'm pretty happy, too, you guys. Have you ever ridden in this, Marissa?
Not that way.
Not that. She's like forward. Look at Max. He's such a character. Change some gears. We got that shift detection working, which is always really nice. And these bikes, they feel pretty comfortable at speed usually because the frame's a little bit stiffer and just really...
Yeah, it's definitely set up to handle that really well. Between the suspension and the geometry, it's really designed with that in mind.
Check it out. We got like a farmer's market going on over there. It's fun. Everyone's out on their little skates, scooting around town.
That's it.
There's the ocean. Gotta love that. Biking distance to the ocean. Marissa's a zippy one. She's always like leading the pack.
That's it. She's anxious to get to the dog beach, so...
That's right. Dog
Well,
beach is gonna
I should say Max is anxious to get to the dog beach.
Hey, buddy. How's it going? Oh, my goodness. Is that yoga in the park over there?
Yeah, I think they're just getting set up.
Oh, man. So beautiful. Hopefully you can kind of see it. I'll try to show you guys, but is it every day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Every day at whatever time o'clock it is right now, people go and they do yoga in the park, and it's amazing. What a way to end the day, huh? Now this is where the brakes come in handy. And one of the upgrades for the 75 is it's a 180 millimeter rotor up front and 203 in the rear. With the smaller version, it was like 160 millimeter rotor up front. And this one has the speed pedelec, sort of like it activates the lights. It's got 4-finger levers, so you really got the extra power. It's important, especially on a hill like this with a little extra load up in the front.
Just a little bit.
Thank you, Chris. Beautiful. I always like to say, you know, e-bikes make it so much more enjoyable when you've got extra weight like this, because, you know, you've got to come to a stop for a stop line or a stop sign, and getting started again can be really difficult. But with the motor, it's not a problem. And with like whether you get like the NVOLO or internally geared hub or something, you can shift gears at standstill. The one we're in right now, it has that 11-speed traditional derailleur and cassette. It's pretty like lightweight and easy to shift gears. It's crisp, but no, you can't do that at standstill. It's so beautiful out here. He is excited. really appreciate that they have like walking path and then a biking path.
Yeah, it's a lot nicer to have that separated. I mean, when we rode around the city, you know, there's a lot of places where it's kind of pretty close together, or like the Brooklyn Bridge, for example.
Yeah.
Very challenging to bike over there, but this is always pretty calm, plenty of space, and it's actually one of the reasons I got really attracted to this area.
Yeah, Long Beach seems pretty bikeable.
Yeah, they're doing quite a bit for bikes, which is pretty cool. And actually, one of the founding members of People for Bikes lives here, and he's been really involved with a lot of the bike infrastructure. And the city's just super supportive of it. It's really great to see.
Really nice. And then there's, you know, you can see all those cranes over there. It reminds me of San Francisco, like Oakland area. Here you can see all these boats just kind of waiting their turn. Like they get inspected and then they come into the port in Long Beach and bring all the different goods and stuff, including probably some e-bikes, right?
Without a doubt. Yeah, that's a common way to come in.
It's pretty cool. Just beautiful out here.
So this is getting into the Belmont Shore area. So this is kind of a small neighborhood part of Long Beach, just like a beach community. Pretty cool. But our attraction today is the dog beach.
Yeah.
Rosie's Dog Beach. We're heading over there.
So a little bit further, we'll get
There's
there.
a bike counter here.
Oh, whoa. So 826 cyclists today? Nice.
Yeah.
Dude, and like 975 walkers.
Wow. Yeah.
Wow. I'm amazed that it's similar. That's actually pretty close.
It is. Yeah. It's a common place. I think a lot of people come here just to exercise and that sort of thing. So definitely cool.
This is a cool pier. Belmont Veterans Memorial. So Long Beach has this like breakwater, like land thing that they made to protect this so that you don't actually get a lot of waves here. You have to go a little bit further down to Seal Beach or Huntington Beach if you want to do some surfing, which is kind of interesting. Just a really neat. I mean, I hope you guys all get a chance someday to go up to the ocean if you've never been before. Get to play around on the beach a little bit and get into the water and just enjoy the outdoors and cycle along a path like this with your friends and family. It's pretty special.
I don't have any kids, but Court's kind of my surrogate for the day.
Yeah, that's right. I act like a kid sometimes. I've got to say, I like this backrest and just, I mean, I'm a little too big for the seat belts, but it is a little bit taller, right? This is sort of comfortable and gives me a nice, something to kind of lean up against. There's a lot of trust in this relationship right here, but it's working out pretty good. And again, just the suspension and stuff it's pretty comfortable, surprisingly. So, because, you know, my back and neck, that's one of the reasons I'm always such a fan of like plus size tires, full suspension. The front tire here is 20 inches, so it kind of brings the center of gravity lower. It's a pretty sturdy wheel design that they've got, 20 inch versus, you know, something like 26 or 24. The rear wheel is a little bit bigger, and they both have the reflective sidewall stripes, all of these, the integrated lights for safety. It's a great setup. Cool. Is this it? Is this?
We're at the dog beach.
We made it. Oh, there's the little doggy sign.
Exactly.
Wow.
You ready?
We're able to put up the kickstand even with me in there?
Yeah, and that's a good way for kind of loading, unloading with the kickstand down. Makes the bike a lot more stable, and that way you don't have to really hold that weight. And once you're going, it's really, I mean, you said you're like, what, 135 or so?
Yeah,
I mean, it's really comfortable for me. And I had somebody test ride on this other day with me in it. I'm closer to 190, 180 something. So I think that's kind of the upper limit, but it's doable.
Have fun, you guys.
Thanks. See you later.
There he goes.
This way.
He's like, I'm going home. He loves it here, right? You guys come pretty frequently?
Yeah, it's it's really great for him. I mean, he's a rescue, so it's really cool to like let him roam. He's usually not so great on leash, and like we try to bring him to the store. He's not always the friendliest around other people. He's a little protective, but here he's just in his element. He loves it, so it's really cool.
It's great, man. So we're on our way home. We're almost there, and I'm in the forward position and the arrow position.
Let's do it.
And it's really working out well, man. This has just been such a fun night. Like,
It's just a blast.
hanging with you guys. We were passing cars a minute ago because we're just in like a neighborhood kind of scenario with stop signs. People are finishing up the yoga. It's really, really kind of neat.